Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
YouTube, Diggy546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you want more videos like this. Like the video if you like the video, and I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. So for New York Giants training camp, there's been a lot of competition. There's no preseason, so I wanted to kind of make this video to distinguish the wide receivers, their skill sets, who I think is going to be the top 4 wide receivers, who's going to sneak onto the back of the roster. So I'm going to go ahead and make my predictions here. Let me know who are the top 4 Giants wide receivers for this upcoming year, or better yet, top 5. Write it down in the comments. I'll give you a second. Why aren't you? Man, write it down in the comments. My number 1 guy this year, to start obviously, is going to be Sterling Shepard. I think he's our best receiver all around. I think he can line up outside, not full time, but he can line up outside and get open. It's been really fun to watch him battle James Bradbury. It's been real fun to watch that also with Golden Tate and James Bradbury. But Sterling Shepard, our number 1 guy, he's about 5'11", decent speed. Same thing with Golden Tate. They're pretty much clones, except Sterling Shepard is younger, a little bit quicker out of his cuts, but not as elusive after the catch as Golden Tate is. That brings us to Golden Tate next. He's going to be our 2nd wide receiver, and when we go 2 wide, at least to start the season, I believe that those 2 will be out there, or one of them will be out there, and Darius Slayton will be on the other side. So Darius Slayton is our 3rd receiver, but obviously in a 3 wide, Darius Slayton is going to be lined up outside, and either Sterling Shepard or Golden Tate is going to be lined up inside. Last year, Golden Tate was the guy that they chose to line up outside in these situations, but they didn't play much together. All 3 of those receivers didn't have much time together, especially with Evan Ingram there with them. But this video isn't about the tight ends. I can go into that later if you guys want me to. But all 3 of those guys didn't get much time together, but when they were, it was Golden Tate and Darius Slayton on the outside and Shepard in the slot. Just 2, I'm pretty sure that they kind of rotated Slayton in and out because Slayton was getting so hot as the year went on. But I believe that Darius Slayton, about 4 or 5 games in, will be our bona fide number 1 receiver. So those are your top 3. No one's really going to argue that. But when you start to get to the 4th, 5th, and maybe 6 options, I believe they'll probably keep 6 wide receivers. And then some of these guys will sneak onto the practice squad. For that 4th spot, I think it's between Corey Coleman, the former 1st round Browns draft pick that a couple of years ago had a really good second half of the season for us, and then he got injured. I believe that him as a number 4 receiver will be really good if he can get back to that same level of play. And he's also someone who can help you on kick returns if he still has that same explosiveness coming off of the injury. And I believe this is like the 2nd time he's gotten injured. But Corey Coleman was basically on the street from a 1st round pick to being nobody wanted him. And then he came to the Giants with the washed Eli Manning, and he had a really good second half of the season. I believe that Corey Coleman will be our 4th receiver, but he's going to have some competition because he is 5'10", and I don't think he's 200 pounds. So he's going to be going up against guys who can provide that other outside threat, that big frame, across from Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton is listed as 6'1" on the Giants site now. Last year he was listed as 6'2", and I've seen him listed as 6'3" some places. So we really don't know how tall Darius Slayton is, but he's going to count as a big frame. Across from him, we have the option to go with a Golden Tate or a Corey Coleman, who's both 5'10" and 5'11", or Austin Mack, 6'2" out of Ohio State. Benjamin Victor is 6'4" out of Ohio State. A lot of people like Austin Mack better because Austin Mack is, I think, pretty much a more polished wide receiver all around, and he plays big. But those 2, 6'2" and 6'4", are going to be really hard to leave off the roster. David Sills, the former West Virginia wide receiver who was like a star quarterback in high school, he's 6'3", but I doubt that he'll compete for that 4th spot. But he is a former great special teamer at West Virginia, so we'll see how that goes. But that 4th spot, I believe, will be between Corey Coleman, who I believe is the best wide receiver. But if you're looking for size, you're looking for height, Benjamin Victor and Austin Mack are going to compete for those spots at 6'2", at 6'4", and 6'2", respectively. But all in all, I think that Corey Coleman will hold on to that spot as 4th wide receiver. And once you get past that 4th wide receiver spot, the 5th, maybe you're looking at receiver skills, but you're really, really looking for special teams, even at the 4th spot. But Corey Coleman gives you that return skill. But at that 5th spot, you need someone who's going to be a special teamer. Derek Dillon, I'm an LSU fan. Derek Dillon is a 4-2-8 guy. That means that he can really help you on returns. Maybe he can really help you as a gunner because Cody Core is out for the season. Whoever can replace and be 60 to 70% of how good Cody Core was on special teams will get that 5th and 6th. They're gonna make the roster. Unless there's a running back or a cornerback or someone else who can step up and be that next gunner, one of those receivers are going to be vying for that spot. I think Derek Dillon is going to vie for a return spot, and if not, he's going to be a gunner. But I don't think that they'll use him as a gunner because he's so dynamic. So I'm going to go ahead and say that 5th spot is going to go. It's going to go to Derek Dillon. 4.28 speed, you cannot teach that. I believe that he's going to be our returner. You don't really need to learn much. Just get the ball, get upfield, catch the ball, secure it, which I know he can do, and return. I think he's going to be our return man. Maybe punt. I think him and Corey Coleman are our top 2 return guys. Jabril Peppers is probably going to do more on defense. So for that 6th spot, you're going to have whoever loses out of those. I don't think that they're going to beat out Corey Coleman. So you're going to have Austin Mack, and you're going to have Benjamin Victor, and they're going to all be competing with CJ Board and David Stills for that 6th spot because Derek Dillon is on the roster, Sterling Shepard is on the roster, Golden Tate is on the roster, Darius Slayton is on the roster, and Corey Coleman is on the roster. So for that 6th spot, it's going to be difficult. So you're going to be choosing between 2 great looking wide receivers out of Ohio State, CJ Board, who they've said hasn't dropped anything, and a guy who's familiar with the Giants, David Stills, who's 6'3". So these guys are going to be competing for that 1 spot. I've left some wide receivers on the roster out because I haven't seen them making any noise, but I think CJ Board and David Stills are going to be practice squad players, and the Giants are going to be fighting other position rooms to say, hey, we want to keep both of these Ohio State wide receivers, but I think that Austin Mack is going to win that spot over Benjamin Victor. Ask me why. I think he's a little bit more polished. Benjamin Victor is taller, but I think Austin Mack plays bigger than his 6'2" frame, which is also pretty tall compared to our other wide receivers. Looking at the 6 wide receivers that I chose, they're going to have Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, Darius Slayton, Corey Coleman, Austin Mack, and Derek Dillon. Derek Dillon will provide you with return skills, help you on special teams. I think Austin Mack will have to do that on special teams. If not, then he's going to be having issues with CJ Board or maybe someone else who can provide that special teams thing. 6'4", Benjamin Victor is 6'4". I don't think is going to be able to help you on specials. I think you want someone, I don't think that his body type is built for that Cody Core type of mold, and I don't think he's a return guy either. It's going to be difficult for him to make the team, but I think that he'll be a practice squad guy, and maybe since it's a 55-man roster now, he makes the team. But the top 6, that's locked in, and everyone gives you something, and if Austin Mack can give you anything as a gunner, he's making that roster. So those are my top 6. Let me know who your top 6 are. Diggy546. I'm out.